I'm Azaria Tagaya, and this is Nightline. Let's take a look at the headlines. Rotation system for all primary schools lifted. And company CEO among 8 detained over 2.3 billion ringgit corruption case. Good morning. Beginning April 17th, all primary school pupils will attend school without rotation. Senior Education Minister Datuk Dr. Jidin said schools in states under Group A will start on April 17th, while schools in states under Group B will start on April 18th.
Jadi anak-anak di sekolah rendah yang mana sebelum ini bergilir bermula pada 17 April di negeri kumpulan A dan 18 April di negeri kumpulan B, anak-anak boleh datang ke sekolah tanpa penggiliran dah.
Okey, Wabi.
It had previously been announced that Year 3, 4 and 5 pupils at schools with an enrolment of more than 600 pupils could attend classes on a rotational basis for the 2022-2023 academic session, which began on March 21st. Datuk Dr. Razi also issued a request to parents to always remind their children that adherence to the standard operating procedures is a priority. Group A covers Johor, Kedah, Kelantan and Terengganu, while Group B comprises Selangor, Malacca, Negeri Sembilan, Pahang, Perak, Perlis, Penang, Sabah, Sarawak and the Federal Territories of Kuala Lumpur, Labuan and Putrajaya. The success of the national COVID-19 immunization program PIC has ensured that almost 98% of COVID-19 cases suffered only mild symptoms. Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin said in the current transition to endemic phase, these cases required only self-isolation at home without being referred to hospitals. In his Twitter posting on Friday, Khairi said a total of 97.6% of COVID-19 patients underwent home quarantine, while 0.2% at COVID-19 quarantine and treatment centres, 2% in hospitals, 0.1% at intensive care units or ICUs without using ventilators, and 0.1% at ICUs with the use of ventilators. According to Khairi, monitoring by the virtual COVID-19 assessment centre was made through the MySejahtera application, which required patients to fill in the health assessment tool, HAT, twice a day regarding their symptoms. He added more than 70% of COVID-19 cases at home filled in the HAT every day, and this data was used to identify cases which deteriorated and needed to be referred to hospitals. If the HAT data of COVID-19 patients showed a sharp deterioration, a notification would be sent offering patients the option of going to a health facility. The government will continue providing subsidy for those performing the Hajj pilgrimage this year. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Religious Affairs, Datuk Idris Ahmad, in giving the assurance, however, said the government has yet to decide on the amount of subsidy to be given to Hajj pilgrims.
Subsidi akan kita bagi, insyaAllah. Kita akan beri subsidi. Nanti berapa kita bagi nanti dulu, kita maklumlah. Nanti saya tak boleh umumkan benda itu masih embargo.
Dato' Idris said this to the media when attending the Federal Territory Hospital Welfare Fund contribution presentation ceremony in Putrajaya on Friday. He added that he would discuss with Lembaga Tabung Haji TH on the cost of performing the pilgrimage for Muassasah Hajj pilgrims before presenting it to the Cabinet, which would make the final decision on the matter. On Thursday, TH said that the cost of performing Hajj for Muassasah pilgrims this year was expected to increase to more than 25,000 ringgit per person, following the hike in taxes and new service charges imposed by the Saudi Arabian government. TH has maintained the Hajj payment rate of 9,980 ringgit for the past 13 years, even though the cost of performing the pilgrimage has increased every year. The Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC has remanded 8 individuals in connection with a 2.3 billion ringgit graft case involving a government-linked company, GLC. The remand order against the suspects, aged between 35 and 45, was obtained on Friday at 2 separate magistrates' courts in Putrajaya and Kuching, Sarawak, respectively. In Putrajaya, Magistrate Shahwira Abdul Halim granted remand orders of between 4 and 5 days against 6 suspects. Meanwhile, in Kuching, 2 suspects were remanded between 2 and 5 days by Magistrate Zubaida Sharkawi. It was learnt that the suspects include a Chief Executive Officer, Chief Operating Officer, Director, Executive Director and the owner of a company. They were detained at the MACC headquarters in Putrajaya and Kuching on Thursday. Following the arrest, 10 luxury vehicles, various cash currencies exceeding 27,000 ringgit and more than 50 jewellery items including gold bars were seized. The graft buster also seized 15 luxury watches and 13 luxury handbags, while 12 company and individual bank accounts were frozen. MACC Senior Director of Investigations Hishamuddin Hashim, who confirmed the arrest, said the case is being investigated under the MACC Act. In Johor Bahru, an assistant officer with a government agency has been remanded for 4 days to help in the investigation of a corruption case. It was earlier reported that the 32-year-old man was arrested on Thursday after having his statement recorded at the MACC office in Johor Bahru. According to an MACC source, between 2020 and 2021, the man was working as a management officer at a government department. He was alleged to have requested and received bribes amounting to 20,000 ringgit from 2 project consultants. The money was as an inducement for revealing information on the project that the duo had applied for. The case is being investigated under Section 17, Subsection A of the MACC Act. There is no requirement for travellers to do the Rapid Test Kit Antigen or RTKAG test on site at airports. The statement was issued by Malaysia Airports Holdings Berhad, MAHB, on Friday in clearing confusion on the matter, which clarified that the RTKAG test for international travellers can be done at airports as well as any private health facility, including clinics and hospitals of the traveller's choice, given that it is within 24 hours of their arrival in Malaysia. In a statement, the airport operator said facilities are made available, however, for passengers who wish to have the convenience of doing the test right away at the airport. There are 4 different private health facility operators providing the services at 4 airports. They are BP Clinical Lab Sendirian Berhad at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport KLIA, Agenta UEMS Sendirian Berhad at the Pulau Pinang International Airport, MyEG Services Sendirian Berhad at Kota Kinabalu International Airport, and Gribbles Pathology Malaysia Sendirian Berhad at Kuching International Airport. In the statement, MAHB also dismissed claims that the RTK testing at the airports was being monopolised by certain private healthcare operators. The number of unemployed persons in Malaysia has declined further by 1.3% to 671,000 in February compared to 680,400 in January this year. According to the key statistics of labour force in Malaysia for February 2022, accordingly, February's unemployment rate also edged down to 4.1% from 4.2% in January. These statistics showed the continuous improvement in employed persons with a month-on-month increase of 0.3% to post 15.73 million persons in February compared to 15.69 million persons in January. The number of labour force continued to rise by 0.2% to 16.40 million persons in February from 16.37 million persons previously. Commenting on the statistics, Chief Statistician Datuk Sri Muhammad Uzair Mahidin in a statement said the strengthened labour force situation in February 2022 was prompted by the continuous operation of all economic and social activities during the month. On the unemployment situation in February, he said the actively unemployed, or those who are available for work and were actively seeking jobs, comprised 83.7% of the total unemployed persons. Out of the total actively unemployed, the unemployed persons for less than 3 months encompassed 56.7%, while those who were in long-term unemployment of more than a year made up a share of 7.3%. The number of unemployed youth aged 15 to 24 lessened by 2.1% to 356,000 in February from 364,500 in January. The Selangor government has agreed to a 1-year entertainment duty exemption for the entrance fees or tickets for stage performances by local artists. Menteri Besar Datuk Sri Amiruddin Syari said the move was effective from January 1st to December 31st, 2022. However, Datuk Sri Amiruddin said in a posting on his Facebook page on Friday that the exemption will not apply to foreign artists. He added that the exemption was given following views and feedback from the public, especially those in the industry, on the imposition of the entertainment tax, which had become a concern recently. Datuk Sri Amiruddin also said, for now, an entertainment tax would not be imposed on buskers. The entertainment duty exemption will also apply to live band performances. Since January last year, the Selangor government had imposed a 15% entertainment duty on all arts and stage performances by local artists and 25% entertainment duty for performances by international artists. This prompted calls from various quarters for the entertainment duties to be waived, as the cost could be passed on to consumers, which would drive away audiences and affect many artists who are struggling financially. The third day of the search and rescue SAR operation for the 3 foreign scuba divers still missing off Pulau Tokong Sanggul in Mersing was beefed up with additional air assets to cover a wider area. Johor Maritime Director, First Maritime Admiral Nurul Hizam Zakaria said the air search on Friday involved 4 aircrafts, including 2 more air assets belonging to the Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency MMEA and the police.
Untuk hari ini kita menggerakkan pesawat bombardier CL-45 tadi. Jadi maknanya dia punya endurance dekat laut tu lebih panjang dan juga meliputi kawasan yang lebih luas. So kita harapkan pesawat ni jangkauannya lebih jauh lah. Jangkauan lebih jauh dan kemungkinan untuk menemui mangsa tu adalah lebih tinggi lah.
Apart from the bombardier and 2 helicopters from the MMEA and the police, the Royal Malaysian Air Force RMAF also took part in search and rescue efforts using a B200T aircraft. The operation, which resumed as early as 3 a.m, also saw the involvement of surface assets, comprising 11 boats belonging to various agencies and fishermen, as well as 10 jet skis from the public. The search area for marine assets involves an area of 335 nautical miles, while the search area for air assets involves 739 nautical miles. The 3 victims still missing are identified as 46-year-old British national Adrian Peter Chesters and his son Nathan Ranser Chesters, aged 14, who is a Dutch national, as well as 18-year-old French national Alexia Alexandra Molina. Meanwhile, the Norwegian diving coach, who was found safe after being adrift for hours in the waters of Tanjung Sedili, Kota Tinggi, is still traumatised. Mersing Police Chief Superintendent Cyril Edward Newing said further investigations into the case could not be carried out due to the victim's unstable condition.
Untuk divers yang semalam, kita masih tidak membuat siasatan yang setotal-totalnya. Disebabkan keadaan beliau yang lemah dan masih di dalam keadaan trauma. In fact, semalam saya dengan pihak APMM, Tuan Nizam, berjumpa dengan beliau. Beliau masih dalam not in a stable condition to cooperate with us.
At noon on Wednesday, 4 foreign divers were reported missing during diving training off Pulau Tokong Sanggul, about 9 nautical miles from Tanjung Leman. 35-year-old Grodem was found floating, complete with a diving suit and equipment, by a tugboat en route from Indonesia to Thailand at 8:15 a.m. the following day, and subsequently brought to Mersing Hospital for treatment. In Pahang, a senior citizen died after he became trapped inside a burning flat at Medan Warisan along Jalan Tanah Putih in Kuantan on Friday. The remains of 64-year-old Ramli Muhammad were recovered by firemen inside one of the rooms in the 3:20 p.m. incident. A team of 32 firemen, along with 2 fire engines and 2 water tankers from the Indra Mahkota and Kuantan stations, were deployed to the scene. The firefighters were then forced to break open the front door to locate the victim.
Kita syaki mangsa mungkin untuk melepaskan diri berada dalam keadaan asap yang tebal lah, dan mangsa keluar daripada bilik sampai ke ruang tamu dan berada di situ sehinggalah pasukan penyelamat tiba dan menjumpai mangsa dalam keadaan bersandar di dinding.
The remains of the victim, who sustained 40% burns to his face and body, was then taken to Tengku Ampuan Afzan Hospital for post-mortem. Other units at the flats were not damaged by the blaze. The cause of the fire is still being investigated. More local updates later in the bulletin, but first, 39 killed after 2 rockets hit Ukraine's Kramatorsk train station. The details when we return. Continues. 39 people were reportedly killed while more than 300 others were wounded, many of them in serious condition, after 2 rockets hit Ukraine's Kramatorsk train station. The incident occurred as thousands of people were at the train station preparing to evacuate to safer regions as Russia focuses its troops in eastern Ukraine.
Russian military hit the railway terminal in the city of Kramatorsk. This is an ordinary railway terminal. People crowded, waiting for the trains to be evacuated to the safe territory. They hit these people. There are witnesses, there are videos, there are remnants of the missiles and dead people. Russian bombs.
Zelensky spoke about the attack during an address to the Finnish parliament on Friday. The head of Ukraine's railway company, Alexander Kamyshin, said 2 rockets struck the station and that 3 trains carrying evacuees were blocked in the same region of Ukraine on Thursday. He said 4 cars next to the station had been destroyed and the remains of a large rocket with the words "For our children" in Russian were lying adjacent to the main building. Russia denied carrying out a missile strike on the station and claimed the missile involved was only used by the Ukrainian military. Ukrainian officials say Russian forces have been regrouping for a new offensive and that Moscow plans to seize as much territory as it can in the eastern part of Ukraine, known as Donbas, bordering Russia. Thailand plans to scrap a mandatory polymerase chain reaction test on arrival for foreign visitors from next month as the Southeast Asian nation steps up efforts to attract more tourists amid a rebound in global travel. Deputy Health Minister Satit Pitucha said the RT-PCR test will be replaced with antigen tests at the airports, and vaccinated travellers will also no longer need to reserve one-night hotel accommodation to secure visas. Thailand joins countries from Australia to the Philippines and Singapore in easing entry rules as it counts on the return of tourists in large numbers to sustain a nascent economic revival facing risk from the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The nation's hotel industry has long demanded the cancellation of the so-called test-and-go visa program, seen as a major deterrent for travellers. The virus task force will again review the proposed visa relaxations after next week's Songkran holidays to mark the Thai New Year. The head of Sri Lanka's main opposition party said on Friday that it would move a no-confidence motion in parliament against the government if it does not take measures to address the country's financial crisis and improve governance. In making the threat at parliament, chief of the Samagijana Balawagaya party, Sajith Premadasa, said the government must work to suspend debt and appoint financial advisors to start off the process of restructuring debt. Parliament proceedings were suspended twice in the morning after parliamentarians heckled each other, with 2 members temporarily removed from the chamber on the orders of the Speaker. While President Gotabaya Rajapaksa is running his administration with only a handful of ministers after his entire cabinet resigned this week, the heavily indebted country has little money left to pay for imports, which has led to suffer shortage of fuel, power, food and increasingly medicine. now with some sports. Football, the Australian A-League, Hiroshi Ibusuki's first half winner gave Adelaide United a 1-0 victory over MacArthur on Friday, a result that puts Adelaide in 4th place in the standings. The only goal of the game came just before the break when Ibusuki scored with the header from Craig Goodwin's cross. The 1-0 win helped Adelaide to climb to 4th with 31 points, 15 points behind first-placed Melbourne City. Moving on to Formula One, the Australian Grand Prix, Ferrari driver Charles Leclerc led Friday's second practice session with defending series champion and Red Bull's Max Verstappen in second. Leclerc had a time of 1 minute 18.978 seconds on the revamped Albert Park layout, with Verstappen 0.245 seconds behind. Ferrari's Carlos Sainz, who led after the first practice session, was third fastest. Local hope Daniel Ricciardo in McLaren was 10th fastest and Lewis Hamilton's Mercedes 13th. There will be another practice session on Saturday ahead of the later afternoon qualifying for Sunday's race. Leclerc won the opening race of the season in Bahrain and Verstappen took the second in Saudi Arabia, both in March. Still to come on Nightline, 14 hotels in Malacca, 3 Ramadan bazaars issued compounds. Thanks for staying with us on Nightline. The Pakatan Harapan PH Presidential Council has urged Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob to state his commitment in tabling the anti-party hopping bill in Parliament soon. The Council said the Prime Minister must also set a date for a second special Parliament sitting and announce it on April 11th when they sit in the Dewan Rakyat. In a joint statement, the PH top leadership also urged the minister tasked to table the constitutional amendment on Monday to clearly state the basic principles of the anti-party hopping bill that would be tabled and passed in the second special sitting. This was following Thursday's announcement by Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Parliament and Law, Datuk Seri Wan Junaidi Tuanku Jaafar, who said that the bill would be tabled, debated and passed at a later date instead of the scheduled April 11th. The Council also reiterated its stand that the coalition would support the anti-party hopping bill when it is put to the vote in the Dewan Rakyat and reminded the government that the bill is one of the key components of the Political Memorandum of Understanding MOU signed between the government and PH last year. The statement was signed by opposition leader Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, who was also PKR President, DAP Secretary General Anthony Loke, United Progressive Kinabalu Organisation UPCO President Datuk Seri Wilfred Madias Tangau and Parti Amanah Negara President Muhammad Sabu. Former Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi can now travel to perform his Umrah after the Kuala Lumpur High Court allowed his application for his passport to be released. High Court Judge Datuk Colin Lawrence Sequeira granted the UMNO President's application after lead prosecutor Datuk Raja Rozila Rajatoran said the prosecution had received instruction not to object to the application. She further said as the dates Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid needed to perform the Umrah clashed with the trial dates of April 26th to 28th, the vacated days should be replaced with new dates. The judge fixed April 13th and 15th as well as July 1st as the substitution dates for trial. In October last year, the High Court had allowed a temporary return of Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid's impounded passport to enable him to seek medical treatment from a leading specialist in Munich, Germany for back and neck pain. A total of 14 hotels in Malacca were among food premises issued compounds by the Malacca State Health Department for failing to adhere to personal and food hygiene practices in preparing the Ramadan buffet. The State Health and Anti-Drug Exco, Dr. Muhammad Akmal Saleh, said that the offences under the Food Act, as well as violations to the Food Hygiene Regulations 2009, were detected during the three-day operation which began on April 4th. Throughout the period, the Malacca State Health Department inspected 398 food premises, including Ramadan bazaars, 7 ice factories and 27 hotels. A total of 18 compounds were issued, amounting to 10,550 ringgit.
Kita bagi pihak Jabatan Kesihatan Negeri tidak akan kompromi. Kita tidak akan kompromi waimah seinci pun jika melibatkan tentang kebersihan makanan. Sebab apa? Kebersihan makanan ini akan menjejaskan kesihatan penduduk. Maka ini kita akan ambil tindakan yang tegas dan keras jika ini berlaku, jika pencemaran makanan ini berlaku diakibatkan daripada pengendali makanan tersebut.
Dr. Muhammad Akmal said based on the Ramadan buffet inspection on 27 hotels, 14 compounds totaling 7,600 ringgit were issued. 3 Ramadan bazaar stalls were also fined 450 ringgit each, while an ice factory was fined 2,500 ringgit. Dr. Muhammad Akmal was met after carrying out checks at a Ramadan bazaar in Bandar Baru Merlimau. Now, from samurai armour to embroidered screens, more than 150 Japanese artefacts acquired by the British royal family go on public display for the first time at the Queen's Gallery. Themed Japan, Courts and Culture, the exhibition tells the story of 350 years of artistic and diplomatic exchange between the courts of Britain and Japan. Let's take a look as we wrap up Nightline this time around. I'm Azaria Tagaya. Thank you for watching, and to our Muslim viewers, selamat bersahur.